I was medically retired from the Army. I had a lot of injuries and stuff like that, and I'd gained a whole bunch of weight and I was depressed and all of that stuff. So Johnny and Chris knew that if they could ever get me to try it, that I would love it, that would help me in so many different ways. I was that jerk that we all hate, that would like just talk trash and like tear it all down. He asked me a question and I turned around, and when my mouth was open, he shoved 2 pills in my mouth, handed me a shake and slapped a patch on my arm. And he's like, "You've talked enough trash, you're thriving today." And I was like, okay, I guess I'm thriving. So I drank my shake and then we went floating down the river. So I'm about halfway down the river and I noticed my knees aren't hurting, my ankles aren't hurting. And then Johnny looks at me and he's like, "How you feeling, bud?" And I was like, "I'm not telling you anything," because I was still like trying to be right. I had to be right. So after the end of that day, I was like, "Okay, Johnny, I'll go ahead and buy a week." So I bought a week off of him, and at the end of that week, I loved it, and I went ahead and I bought my first month. My wife was the one that finally called me out on it, and she was like, "Honey, I can see the difference on the days that you take Thrive versus the days you don't take Thrive." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She's like, "Well, when you don't take Thrive, you sit around, you argue with me, you're watching TV, you're complaining about stuff. And on the days you do take Thrive, you're like up before all of us, you make breakfast, you make lunch, you make dinner, you're mowing the grass, you're playing with the kids, you're not watching TV." So I buckled down and I finished my last 2 weeks that I had on that first month. And like on day 10, I called it like my Pinocchio moment, because I felt like a real live person again. Like I couldn't just sit around anymore. I didn't have all of that discomfort that I had. And I made up in my head, I was like, I'm gonna start running. And I hadn't ran since 2007 because of all of my injuries. And I ran for a mile. And when I got done, I was in my living room and I was doing my cool down stretches. And for so much of my life, I was a real physical person. And I was an airborne soldier, paratrooper, infantry. And I used to run 6 miles a day. And then because of my injuries, I couldn't do any of that. And you know that great feeling after a good workout and the endorphins are just coming through your body? I never thought that I was gonna feel that again. And after I finished that run, like it all just kind of like washed over me and I started crying. And my daughter came in, she's like, "What's wrong, Dad?" I was like, "Nothing's wrong, honey. I never thought I was gonna feel this way again." Like, I felt like, you know, I know what it's like to feel like you're a slave to your aches and your discomforts and stuff, and I know what it's like to feel like you're a slave to your weight gain and your negative attitude and just have all these chains on you. And right then, I in that moment, I felt them all break away from me. After a couple weeks, I had lost 15, 20 pounds, and I showed that picture and everybody just like freaked out. It was because I finally got with the system and I finally started taking the product correctly. In 2 months, I hit the 12K like right the hour before, and then this month is my 3rd month, and I'm at like 25 now. So it's been an amazing ride, physically and financially. And my wife and I, we went and got our Mercedes, and it's just unbelievable to feel like I'm part of such an amazing family. And I don't know, it's been an unbelievable ride, and I love every second of it.